think one of the things that's really unique to Inver Grove Heights is that we have this swing bridge here in our community, which a long time ago, it was, you know, a great thoroughfare through Inver Grove Heights and St. Paul Park. It really got people across, and our transportation with the rail carts. So it's just a great community, a bridge across to get the two communities together. This was before 94 was here, so it was just that way to connect both sides of the river.
And I don't know, it's been a couple of, like, it's been a railroad, a toll road, and now pedestrian, right?
Yeah, so the history of the railroad, it actually was all those together. It was a railroad, and it was also a toll road. So you would have the trains on the top, and then the actual vehicles on the bottom. So they would actually pass one another, going both in one direction. So again, remember when this year was built in the early or late 1800s, you had your Model Ts, so you didn't have the cars that you had today. So you also had pedestrian crossing as well. So kind of they were all using it, all encompassing the bridge itself. So again, but when it was commissioned, and obviously a barge would go through, that's when it would swing. So that's why we call it the Rock Island Swing Bridge. So as soon as boats would go through the Mississippi River, it would stop everything, trains, traffic, pedestrian, and obviously the vehicles at the time, and then it would rotate, let the boats and barges go through, and then switch back. So there was a toll, there was a fare to get across, but again, this is prior to 494 being built.
Oh, so it's gone through a lot of changes, and it seems to keep going through changes, right?
Yeah, so one of the beautiful things of when this was decommissioned, the city and the state kind of worked collectively together in the county to really make sure that we preserve the heritage of the swing bridge, to make sure that the history stayed intact. So now what we have in front of us or behind us now, and what we're going to illuminate this evening, is the actual historic part of the bridge, which is still current, and then now it's a pier. So we get to, again, keep the heritage of the bridge. Both our current residents and visitors to our community get to come and explore it. As you come through the park, you see nodes, historical nodes that really talk about the legacy and heritage of this space, but you also get to connect to the river, and that's what we love about this particular space. As much of it's a bridge, it's also a pier. So it gets you, a decent amount into the Mississippi River, and we love making sure that our residents have an opportunity to connect to the river.
And so why don't you just tell me about the event that's happening?
Yes, we're really excited about this evening's event. We were fortunate enough to get some state funding to support this project, to really improve our lighting in the swing bridge, but it really worked its way through our Park and Rec Advisory Commission and our city council that really said, yes, we want this, let's work on design, let's engage our community to really see what type of illumination we want. So this evening, we're really excited to, through that long process of engagement, through working with our Park and Rec Advisory Commission and working with our city council to kind of put that final stamp on it, we're excited to showcase the versatility of this light and the illumination. So we have over 700 feet of a pier bridge, if you will. It's all going to be illuminated inside, and from an exterior where the cascade of lighting and the flood lighting will be, that will be concentrated on the historic aspect of the bridge, the legacy portion. So if you're on the river or you're enjoying one of our marinas, you would actually see the illumination of the cast lighting only on the historic piece. But there's two different experiences, and that's what we're excited about. So from a pedestrian bridge or opportunity experience, as you walk up and approach, we're really excited about you having that experience interiorly on the bridge. So we have a lot of LEDs. We can control each LED down to the 1/4 inch. So it's going to wave, it's going to dance. This evening, typically we'll do events, we can tie it to music. But what we're going to really plan on doing is in the future, starting tomorrow, June 18th, we're actually going to, from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., we're actually going to have every quarter of the hour, we're going to have a light show. So for 5 minutes, starting at 7 o'clock, there'll be a light show. Then again at 7:15, a light show. 7:30, and it's going to be about anywhere from 3 to 5 minute light show, and then again every quarter of the hour. That's your interior experience. But if you're a boat goer and you're on the river, you're going to see that same show, both from an interior capacity, but also on the historic part. Those same lights on the exterior are going to flash and cascade. So obviously the later we go into the evening, the brighter that gets. So we're really excited about that. But again, we're going to start that show about 7 p.m. And that's going to be seasonal. We're going to run that from Memorial Day all the way to Labor Day. And then as the season changes and it gets darker out sooner, we're going to shift that show to start at 6 p.m. so that families and our local residents can come visit it. But we really want to invite visitors from the region, the area, from out of state to really come, not just to experience a light show, but to see the history of Heritage, to see the history of the Rock Island Swing Bridge, and then what else this area has to offer, and really invite people into our community.
And you mentioned it briefly, but I'm curious about more of it. Is the funding for this? How did that come about? How did
Yeah.
that work?
So in June 2023, there was a bill that was passed that supported efforts here at the Rock Island Swing Bridge to improve the lighting in this area, specifically the trailhead and the Rock Island Swing Bridge. We have roughly about $458,000 allocated by the state, and our representatives of the state really supported us in that work. That came through by the way of the county, but the city council really had to accept it, invest in it, and be committed to the project. And then after that, the city, off $458,000, added an additional $104,000 to that project to make sure we really got what we wanted in the improvements of the lighting. So yeah, so state, and then we worked with our council, who really kind of took that and said, yes, this is what we want in our community. Worked with our Park and Rec Advisory Commission. So it's really definitely a state allocated funding source, but our city also did a good amount of investment to really get it to where we're at today.
And I'm curious, how did the city even come up with the idea to put these lights on the bridge?
Yeah, I mean, that kind of goes back and forth of whose idea this was. I know we've had a lot of long-term residents that, hey, wouldn't this be cool to light our bridge, very similar to like other communities do across the state. And one of the first times I ever heard it, I was speaking with one of our council members, John Murphy. He said, hey, this would be a great idea to do this. And he had also visited with some additional stakeholders and leaders. And when we got the state funding, it really was off and running from there. We worked with community engagement efforts, so we put surveys out. Hey, if we lit the bridge, here's some ideas, here's some concepts. What would you like to see? And so we went through different iterations and concepts. That worked its way through the Park and Rec Advisory Commission, as I said earlier, and then they went through the design. Then that was brought in front of, after we got the feedback from the community, brought in front of the city council. We presented on that, just say, hey, here's the capabilities, what would you like to see? So it was really an engaged process to make sure that we got it right, and we feel like we did.
And why did Evergreen Grove Lights want to do this?
I think from a city's perspective, we want to make sure that we continue to draw people to the legacy of our community. And this is one of those focal points. This is one of historical legacies, I think, from a usership. When you think about our parks and trails, as you see, a lot of open green space, connect people with nature, connect people with the river. And what better way to do it with, think about a generational gap to some degree, right? If you look above me, the bridge built in 1894, and now we're here in 2025. So we have a different people, that remember the history of this bridge, walking across it, driving their vehicles across it, watching the trains come. But now you have a newer generation that may not be tied to the history and the legacy of that. So it's a good way to bring kids, young people, young families into the community and say, hey, come visit us here at the Rock Island Swing Bridge, look at the history, but then see something cool. How do we incorporate that new innovative way of connecting young people and older generations to really see history and legacy?
This bridge is always changing.
Yes, bridge is always changing. Bridge is the gap between generations.
Is anything else about tonight's event or the lights or anything else that you want?
Is there an interesting story about who designed the lights? Or?
Yeah, so we have a lot of people to thank. I could go on and on, but we've worked with a consulting firm, SEH, electrical engineers. They helped us through the process to design it. Also went through the schematics with us. Vinco is an electrical company. They're the ones that actually did the work to install. We've worked with a lot of different groups, but first and foremost, I want to make sure that we give credit to our state leaders for supporting this project, but then ultimately it comes on our council. They've seen the big picture. They really wanted to invest in and really create an additional legacy piece and highlighting our historical assets and really drawing people to this community. So definitely our city council is first and foremost ones to really thank on this as well. So yeah, we're excited for everybody to participate in this. So this event this evening, and then really watch it for generations to come. And the versatility of the light show is, we're just touching the tip of the iceberg. So, we could do so many different things with it, and we're excited to really kind of tailor to what our community wants to see and really have some creativity around it.
Well, I heard Olivia is becoming an expert on this
Yes.
really quickly.
Yes. So yes, Olivia Skelton, our communications and marketing specialist. She's kind of the one, the brains behind, what the lights will look like, and she's really acclimated to the system and the process and the programming. So as she gets more acclimated to it, we'll just have so much more versatility in what we're going to do. So just more to come. Again, we're just dabbling with it now, and really excited what it can become. We're hopeful when the Vikings win the Super Bowl, we're going to turn this up with the purple and gold, things like that. Or if the Timberwolves win or the Wild, we're really going to look at creating symbolic light shows just to reflect our sports teams or our local events, or you think about like St. Patty's Day, light it up green. So we're going to have that versatility. But for the first year, we're really just going to sample all types of things. We're really not tying it to anything specific. The one thing, the week of the 4th of July, we're a very patriotic city. We really want to showcase the red, white, and blue. So you're going to see a lot of that during the week of the 4th of July. Other than that, it's really going to just show the versatility of our lights, down to the 1/4 inch, exteriorly with the floodlighting, interiorly with the great direct view. So yeah, we're really excited.
All right, I don't want to take up too much of your time. So anything else you want to say about it, or?
No, I think this is definitely a great effort that park staff, rec staff really have come together to make this happen. Worked really well with community engagement, our council, and our Park and Rec Commission. And again, we're very grateful for our state leaders that help support these efforts to get us where we're at today.
Thank you.
Does that help?
Yeah, that's great.